10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is June 30th and we actually have a quick episode for you, not like when I say we have a quick episode and it ends up being over half an hour. So first of all, I want to give a shout out and thanks to RockNet for giving me a little bit of encouragement for playing around with OBS scenes, which means now when we look at Twitter and the DAO forum or Reddit, you can easily see the whole screen and not just like my face blocking all of it. So thanks RockNet. So since we talked about the DAO forum, let's get started there. So today, Shifrin made 4 posts in the grants and bounty section of the forum. These are for the prizes for July, grant applications for July. So here there's 4 threads you can see, and let's have a look at the first one right here, which is the grants application thread. So this is round 3 of the grants that has come up, and Shifrin starts the post by saying this thread is for applications for Rocket Pool's July 2023 round 3 grants. Please only post 1 grant application in this thread. If you'd like to discuss and ask questions about applications you see in this thread, we ask you to do so in a separate forum thread. There's a link which has been established for all community discussions related to this round of applications. Only those grant applications that are posted in this thread and timestamped by July 15th, 2023 at 23:59 p.m. UTC will be considered. It says, please note the following difference between grants and bounties. Grants are intended to be applied for by those who are wishing to carry out the work themselves. Bounties are open-ended goals that could be met by anyone, including those other than the proposing party. In other words, if I believe that Rocket Pool needed a 50-foot paper mache orange rocket for publicity purposes and I wanted to be the one to build it, I would apply for a grant. If I instead thought Rocket Pool needed a 50-foot paper mache orange rocket built for publicity purposes, but I wanted it to be open to whoever built it first to claim the reward, similar to a prize, then I'd apply for a bounty. To guide you through the application, the GMC has established the following goals and the following scoring rubric. So let's have a look. So here are the GMC goals. So grants, bounties and retrospective awards will be should make it easier and or more attractive to do one of the following things: become a node operator, become operator node or mint .eth, hold or use .eth, improve the quality of life for the protocol and its community. So then there's a grants rubric, like do you meet the criteria, and this is what gets scored. It says the grants rubric involves scoring each of the 3 categories from 1 to 5. If the application is successful, to what extent does it further the GMC goals? To what extent can the application be feasibly carried out by the persons proposed to complete it? If the application is successful, how large is the benefit to the protocol relative to the size of the protocol proposed costs? And the maximum score is 15, the minimum score is 3. And then there's the actual application itself. So there's a lot of questions and that basically you're supposed to answer and make your grant out of that. For those of you who might be doing their first grant this time, it might be worth looking at the previous grant threads and finding some grants that were awarded well and seeing what they did right and what they did wrong to make it so you increase your chance of getting a grant as well. And of course, just like there are grants, then there's bounties, and it says this thread for application to establish a new bounty as part of Rocket Pool's July 2023 bounties. Only post bounty applications in this thread, just as before. The goals are slightly different. The goals are the same. Does it make it easier to become node operator, operate a node, mint .eth, hold or use .eth, improve the quality of life for the protocol in this community? And then the rubric here is slightly different. The rubric here is the same. It's the retroactive awards where the rubric is different. And then the questions are fairly similar as well. So definitely, have a look at previous ones there as well. And then finally, we have the retroactive awards. And these are, the scoring is just a scale of 1 to 5. To what extent did the proposed and completed project further the GMC's goals? So if the project is ongoing, the retrospective award is given for work completed prior to the current award period, with any future awards for the same project expected to compete in the grants category, and there's a separate application. So using the paper mache 50-foot rocket analogy, basically if you started working on that like 2 months ago, and you've got the skeleton of the rocket done, you just need to apply the paper mache to it, then you would put in a request for a retrospective award for the first like 2 months of work that you did, and then you'd put in a grant request for the future work remaining. So you'd have to like apply twice for something that's kind of half done in that sense. And then there's questions here as well, like similar way, like how does this work? So those are the different grants. If you want to discuss any of the grants, if you like have any ideas, thoughts, if you want clarification from the person who is applying for the grant, then you should use this forum post here to ask those questions. Tag the person, make your questions clear, make them constructive. We all want to work together. We all want to make grants as successful as possible. So use this time, you have 2 weeks to ask whatever questions you want, and those questions and answers will actually be considered by the GMC in their decision making as well. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm going to change the screen because I'm going to Discord now, which is really nice. Thanks for rocking that. Really cool. Okay, so there was a person called Zen who popped into Smart Nodes today asking a couple of questions that I thought it might be interesting to share that information with all of you. So he says, hi everyone, I just got our Smart Node fully synced. Yay. A quick question I had: to launch a mini pool, do I absolutely have to have RPL, or can I ignore that step? Docs make it sound like a requirement. And then Yorick replied by saying it's a requirement and it's done through the Smart Node. Across the node, you need to keep RPL worth at least 10% of pooled ETH. That's if you're running like a mini pool 16. ETH provided to the mini pool by stakers, not by the node operator. So 10% of the minimum is 10% of protocol ETH. So for a single LEB8 mini pool, RPL worth at least 2.4 ETH. So Zan says, understood, thank you, sir. And then Zan says, one more question, please. Is there any way to source or borrow RPL from the DAO or some other entity? We're looking to stake some client assets at the node operator level, about $10 million of ETH, but can't really hold 1 million of RPL on the balance sheet. We simply don't have the capital for that, nor does the client want that. So in summary, is there a way to borrow RPL at a reasonable cost and from some entity? Can't face DeFi, unfortunately. So this is over here. Then I was highlighted with this message, and I said, are you asking because you want to stake it? Who will run the node? And then Black Claws was asking about the answering, like telling about how the RPL is in the securing the node, basically how it's used. It's bound there, and it says if you borrow that, then you have to borrow for the whole period that you're staking the $10 million. And I replied by saying I think a whale marriage is the way to go. And Black Claws said, yeah, if you borrow it, then you're looking at lending fees, and that's not good. And then Black Claws asked me, how much in dollar value do the largest RPL whales hold? And I said, a lot. I don't want to say specific numbers, so these are just rough numbers, but I think Patricio has around 3 million RPL tokens, which is worth around $120 or $130 million. Thomas has 1 million RPL tokens, which is worth around $40 million. The team has, I think, 1.5 to 2 million RPL, which of course is worth like 80 or 70 to $80 million, depending on the price of RPL. So there are a lot of people who hold many, many multi-million dollars worth of RPL. So Black Claw says, there's only 44.6% staked. There's a lot of liquid RPL out there. And I tagged Zan. I said, is a marriage something you're interested in? Kia said, I think you might have to explain the terminology here. So this is explaining a marriage now. So say a whale marriage is an idea where one person brings the ETH and the other person brings the RPL. They put their assets in a node that in a trust minimized way. I said it's usually the person who brings the ETH is the one who runs the node. How the rewards are divided happens on a case-by-case basis. Some of the biggest nodes on Rocket Pool are marriage nodes. Also, there's a service that will run the marriage node for you if you want. Long Island blockchain, you can get a lot more information about it in this thread where people are trying to make the process easier. And then linked the matchmakers matchmaking thread where people are trying to, Romana and people from Long Island blockchain, I think, are working together to kind of make the contract making process a lot easier. So So the way the marriage contract works is that your node, the withdrawal address is set to a contract, and only there's very strict ways of interacting with that contract. So that's really cool. I guess a couple of people tried to ask Zan more questions, but they never replied. So I'll definitely look out for that. But $10 million worth of ETH coming into Rocket Pool sounds really good to me. So hopefully Zan comes back and can ask some more questions, and we can give them the information that they want. Okay, another thing that people might be able to use, maybe not Zan because of the fees involved, but here Romana made a comment saying apparently Myso Finance's version 2 is coming, and then that brought JPIC into trading, saying excited for the new features and should allow for many more options and pairs and better borrow experience for sure compared to beta version 1. Feel free to DM or ask questions on Discord, as Etienne or I will be happy to explain anything. Lots of people still a bit confused about the one-click leverage under the hood, for example, which we think is really powerful. So we're working on docs and social media explainers as we speak, but also happy to get feedback so we can better explain any issues. Take care. And then JPIC was around for a while, like answering some questions, and Romana said, I want to do something with RPL and or RETH, and that's safe and lucrative. Let me just see. That's safe and lucrative. And JPIC says that's the dream. Testnet is borrow side, but initially we will be building our lender side. It's permissionless, but will require programmatic access on that side initially. Let me know if you want to try it out. You can lend either RPL or RETH against any whitelisted collateral with bespoke terms set by you. Many quotes can be made with the gasless feature sharing your lending currency. No need to split across pools for different tenors, APRs, upfront premiums, et al. Like on version 1. It should be much more efficient on the lender side. So I said to them that they'll allow for RPL lending, and they're getting it through the audit right now. So they are, they're working on this. So the idea is what Aave was saying as well is you would bring your RETH worth 10.5 ETH or whatever it is, and then you deposit that into Aave, and in return you will get 8 ETH for a mini pool and 2.4 ETH worth of RPL that would then all go into a mini pool. And then when it comes time to repay your loan, you will give back that RPL and ETH and get your RETH back. And in the meantime, you can get the staking reward that you keep for yourself, and your RETH is also accruing value. So that is really, really great. Tool that they want to build out at Aave. I think something like that might be possible with Myso Finance as well, but I really need to talk to Etienne and JPIC about that a little bit more, because they're doing some cool stuff, and I really want to delve deeper into that and understand it. So if you do need to run a node and if you don't want RPL, then there's a couple of different options for you to work with that, which I think will be really exciting for everyone. Okay, so next we have this update from Buddha in the Beacon Chain website, and look at that, you can see the whole screen now. So here Buddha says a free Beacon Chain mobile app promo codes. Hi friends, leaving some Goldfish promo codes for our Beacon Chain mobile app. All codes valid until the end of July 2023. So there's 60 codes for Android, 60-day trial for Android and 30-day trial for iOS. And it says if you wish to avoid paying for the subscription, you can cancel it before the trial ends. Rest assured, there is no intention to deceive or trap anyone. There'll be 50 codes available for each OS, and more will be added to ensure coverage across all time zones if needed. And it says it would be helpful if you could post any redeemed code in the comment section to make it easier to find unredeemed codes. Find used codes by Control F. If it appears twice, it was used. So then there's a bunch of codes here that you can use as well. So I thought I'd give this highlight because Beacon Chain app has some really great features, and it's a very, very Rocket Pool aligned app, which is fantastic. So if you have if you're a node operator and if you want to use Beacon Chain, then definitely utilize these codes and see if those premium features are something that you are interested in using going forwards. Okay, now I'm going back to Discord. So Let's have a look over here. So I'm going to share a little story from Blueavm today, who says, by the way, quick update on the personal front. So he says, I was quite surprised when the RPL benefactor gifted a few RPL in the last few months. I was humbled by the initiative. I wanted to pass that monetary benefit to someone who needs it the most and help us where it's needed. Just to make sure that I do my bit for the betterment of humanity, I sponsored education for rural school 5th grade kids, a batch of 45 students. These students had a tough time to get required study materials. Thus, on their management request, I've drafted a custom school bag. So they basically made a bag with all their required materials in there, with 6 textbooks, pens, pencils, box. These students live in the base of Regional 4, and studies are carried out from local teachers. So they kids were like really impoverished, and here Blueavm says, I had an emotional day but truly experienced the power of giving away things to society. Thank you, Rocket Pool community, for encouraging me. So this is so wonderful, right? That, the spirit of the benefactor and just the Rocket Pool community in general, people are so generous and giving that people can like pass that along. So when the benefactor, I've come across so many people who've said that, the benefactor gave them RPL and then they passed it along to other people. And this is now just another example of the RPL being passed along. And then here's a picture that's been kind of, dedoxified with the bags being given to the school kids who need it the most. So congratulations on that, Blueavm. It's really nice that, you took the time to do that. Okay, so moving on to something Diva related now. I know that I've been talking about this a lot in the last couple of days, and I think this might be one of the last times I mention it on Rocket Fuel for a while, or unless the protocol does something worthy of Rocket Fuel. But I wrote this post yesterday in trading, and I pasted it again today, saying here's a message I put in trading last night. So I said I was given a lot of Diva tokens because I'm an OG. I was hesitant about accepting them before I even knew how much I was getting, because I was only getting them because of Rocket Fuel, and I didn't want it to be seen that I was being bought off or abusing my position of trust in the Rocket Pool community for personal gain or anything like that. I was assured there were valueless governance tokens by people from Diva. I figured they might be trying to influence Rocket Fuel or something like that. So I talked to a bunch of people about it, and some very wise people gave me some very good advice about it. I decided to accept the tokens. You can see them on my ENS, wackwackattack.eth, and I put myself forward as a delegate for Diva. Now, I will always put Rocket Pool and Rocket Fuel first, and I will never do anything where my integrity is questioned. Please let me know if you have any questions about this. So, a lot of people have been talking about Diva in trading these last couple of days, which makes total sense, right? Like, this idea of them being like a vampire attack. They're already taking up so much mind share of people in the Rocket Pool community. People are already putting themselves, forward as delegates, and that's all great, but it's working really well as a marketing ploy, I think. Anyway, Pateris says nice vampire attack, but here, there was a lot of discussion going on about how the Diva are doing it, what their distribution looks like. Apparently I'm in the 1% of tokens received, which is nice, I guess. And people were talking about like how you claim it. Like, that was a big discussion point about how to safely claim the airdrop. I guess the idea is that you have your node private keys. You if you have a hardware wallet, you wipe the hardware wallet clean, you load your node private keys into the hardware wallet, and then you use that wallet to interact with the Diva site to claim your rewards. Of course, if you're in the US or Canada or any other like restricted territories, then you have to visit another country, using a VPN or something like that, in order to claim your rewards. But that then brought up a whole nother bunch of discussions about how you should or shouldn't be using your node wallet to interact with other protocols like this. So I was just explaining like how many tokens I got and why I got them. So I said I got 100,000 Diva tokens for being something they called an OG, basically an influencer or someone with like some skills that are valuable to Diva. So weird to think of myself as an influencer. And then you get I got 12,000 for DAO stuff, but I don't know which DAO stuff. And then I got 12,000 my node, so I got 124,000 tokens in total, but I haven't claimed the last 12,000 from my node yet. yeah, Val is the only person who got OG tokens but didn't get 100k. So that's a shame for Val. But yeah, there's ways of claiming, and there's a whole lot of discussion going on. And one of the really interesting things, like I said, was about claiming it, how to claim the token. And Dibsy here had some really good points that he made that I really liked. So Dibsy here says the Diva staking protocol may be legit and the intentions may be pure, but it's hard to ignore things like creating a false sense of urgency to claim an airdrop from a node address. Everything in crypto warns against this kind of behavior, yet a staking protocol promotes this. So I said, what would have been a better system for distributing the token? And Dibsy says, assuming for a second that token was necessary, which is doubtful, why couldn't they just send the tokens to the node address so the token contracts can be inspected before interaction, and there's no need to connect to a wallet or approve, sign any transactions? And then other people said, how does the node claim? And basically what happened is Diva sent the tokens to people's node addresses, which is where the issues come up from. And Adam M says here that you can claim through Earnify with any wallet. You just have to pay gas, which actually is a really nice way of doing it if you are kind of suspicious about using your node wallet. I think you'll have to pay for Earnify. I'm not sure exactly how much it costs, but to get that feature, I think you might have to pay for Earnify. But that would definitely make it a lot easier to claim your tokens on your node if you can use any address and you just have to pay the transaction fee. So that might be a way around it. And then here there was a reply as well from there was one from Hani. Here it is. Phonak says making the withdrawal address eligible instead of the node wallet address. So this in itself brings up other issues as well, because of course your node wallet is a hot wallet to begin with. It's on your machine because it signs transactions. So you set up security in that in such a way that there's a withdrawal address and crypto can only go out from there onto your wallet, your withdrawal address. However, if your wallet withdrawal address gets compromised somehow, then that can cause issues with your ETH or your RPL or other tokens getting swiped from there. So I really like Dibsy's idea of actually Diva just sending out the tokens, actual doing a literal airdrop instead of a claim airdrop. I think that would have been much better way of doing it, doing the distribution, and it would have removed a lot of the doubts that people had about it. There was a really good comment from Valdorf that sadly I don't have loaded up. Let me see if I can find it, because Val made a really good comment about this. About what the worst case scenario is about claiming with your node. Let me see. So Disby made the comment saying that it's foundational that you don't use your node for anything except node operation. And then Val came in and said that he strongly disagrees with this stance. And let me see if I can find it. Val says, I strongly disagree with this. The structure of Rocket Pool is such that the node wallet is not important for security. Once we get Minipool deposit on behalf, that'll even more so be the case. It's truly just an administrative address and not part of the security or value at all. And that then brought up a whole nother discussion about, how people who've been in Ethereum for a really long time, still there's issues that with and areas that we don't really fully understand, they're really technical, and that will be a huge barrier for people using Ethereum. So anyway, there's some really good discussions around that whole process. So if you want to go and check that out, then definitely do that. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to be mentioning Diva much more going into the future, unless they have some kind of update that I think is worthy to cover on Rocket Fuel, regardless of whether I have tokens or not. So I really just want to be totally honest and open about that whole process, and wanted to clarify with you all that Rocket Pool, of course, Rocket Fuel and Ethereum are my first priorities and always will be. And if you ever feel that I'm not living up to that, then please call me out, and I'm always happy to get criticism or advice from people. So yeah, anyway, on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. I hope you all have a lovely weekend ahead, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.